together to express our solidarity with one another as a community, and to express our desire to be the America that we know, an America where we support one another, an America where we have held the freedom of religion as integral. And so that's why I thank you so much for coming to this Interfaith Solidarity Event. And I particularly want to thank everyone at Majid Gabriel for hosting, and the representatives and leaders from so many congregations and interfaith groups for joining us. Now, it was just over a year ago when I was privileged to come to this mosque for a celebration of the birth of the Prophet Muhammad. I remember at the time, our area was reeling from the recent attack at San Bernardino, and many were worried that the U.S. would repeat past mistakes and use an attack on some as an excuse to attack others, just as what happened with Japanese Americans during World War II. I came here that day to denounce the discrimination and fear-mongering directed at Muslim Americans, and said that responding to an attack by demonizing an entire community is un-American and wrong. I still believe that today, but that day feels like a lifetime ago. Since then, I've been appalled by the steady rise in hateful words towards Muslim Americans and also against other religious minorities like Sikhs and Jews. And then there was the shocking day last month when 3 mosques here in Southern California received letters calling Muslims vile and filthy people who are not welcome here. The letters went so far as to say that Trump is going to do to you Muslims what Hitler did to the Jews. Well, this is not right, and we have to stand up to this kind of talk.
That's right.
Well, this change in attitude did not come spontaneously. It is the result of divisive and prejudiced political speech that has started all the way from our president and his supporters in Congress. His proposals to ban Muslims from the country or claim that Syrian refugees fleeing from terror are threats to our security because of their religion, it is sparking and fueling this kind of division and violence. And if there was ever any uncertainty about where this vilification of American Muslims could lead, we've even heard some politicians actually refer positively to the example of Japanese internment. In fact, it was the mayor of Roanoke, Virginia, who said that this was a positive thing that happened in our history. So why not try it again? So it's no surprise then that at the end of 2016, the FBI reported that hate crimes were on the rise again. And in fact, since the election, the Southern Poverty Law Center documented 800 hate incidents in the 10-day period following the election alone. That is alarming. So that is why I have condemned hate speech on the floor of the House and fought against any attempt to single out minorities with things like a Muslim registry. That is why I led 50 other House Democrats to call on President Obama to dismantle the National Security Entry-Exit Registration System called NSEERS. This was a problematic profiling program that happened after 9/11, and it continued to provide the framework for a Muslim registry. It was, however, not fueled recently. In fact, it was considered to be ineffective. But the fact that it still existed led us to believe that it could be the basis for another Muslim registry. So we asked President Obama to dismantle it, and I'm very, very happy to say that one of his last acts before he left office was to dismantle the NSEERS registry. But the existence event series was not the only problem. Our new president continues to put Muslims and other minorities at risk by choosing to focus on division and not unity. In fact, this week he announced his plans to effectively shut down travel to the U.S. from a number of Muslim-majority countries. This is outrageous, and it's bald-faced xenophobia. And it's based on the lies that we cannot risk resettling refugees, when the reality is that refugees actually commit fewer crimes than native-born citizens. The U.S., by the way, also has the strictest refugee screening process in the world, which is why we have successfully resettled refugees for years. Now, those affected by this policy are overwhelmingly women and children who deserve a chance to live in peace away from the horrors of war and refugee camps.
That's right.
We can help, but instead, through his executive orders, Donald Trump, in essence, is giving them a death sentence. In doing so, he's further putting the American Muslim community at risk by perpetuating the hostility towards Muslims that has led to the rise in hate crimes. That's why I put together today's event. I want President Trump to see that we are a diverse country. And in fact, here in California, we're very fortunate to live in a majority-minority state. And we know how embracing other communities and backgrounds contributes to our vibrancy and strength. And that's a lesson that I want to make sure we repeat over and over again to every part of this country. Well, the incredible interfaith support on display here today is such an encouraging start, as is the new Meet Your Neighbors program held by Masjid Gibril, this mosque. In fact, starting this year, members of this mosque will be opening their homes once every month to invite their neighbors for food and conversation. I just love this idea because it is a way of building bridges of trust, understanding on a person-to-person basis. And the more that we have this, the more that we can have the society that we know.
That's right.
And in fact, the very first Meet Your Neighbors gathering was held this past Sunday. I'm happy to report that there was a successful turnout of at least 35 community members in attendance. This is a great start, and I believe participation will only continue to grow and gain in momentum. By opening up your homes, you're modeling the kind of trust and respect that already makes our country great. So thank you all for being here. Let us begin this new year by setting the appropriate tone and sending a strong message of unity. We stand against hate. We stand united, and even in the face of tremendous diversity, we will not be divided. With that, I'm so happy to introduce Masjid Gibril's Imam Nisar Hai, who will provide us with a few remarks.
Judy Chu. I want to shake my hand.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam wa barakatuh.
That means peace be all upon you. Let me share with you what she has done is a wonderful job. But I wish she would have told this to Donald Trump when he was inaugurated. The beautiful thing about that was after he took the oath of allegiance, the first speaker was Rabbi. Okay? And he said, God bless this country. And followed by two Christian ministers. They all said, God bless this country. I wish our faith is that religion is a very strong tree with deep roots and a very strong trunk with branches. The Abrahamic faith would have been completed because there was a branch of the Jewish, because they were the first chosen people. Then there were the Christians, who were the second followers from the same chain. He missed the Muslims because we are from the Abrahamic faith. I wish Judy Chu would have educated him because he lacks education. So to me, that was a wonderful thing that I'm reminding you. Maybe whenever you see him, tell him the Abrahamic faith will be complete if you include the Muslims. But that doesn't mean that we don't respect other faiths. I appreciate this brother who's here. He also has a faith. And everyone in this country has a right to worship one true God without any discrimination. And that's why I love the United States of America. I came here when I was 23 years old with only $500 in my pocket. That's all. And I graduated from University of Wisconsin with a Bachelor of Science degree in engineering. Then I graduated from San Jose State University with a Master's in engineering. I never thought I would be an imam and a leader, but this is God's will that He put me in there. So that's the beauty of this great nation. This is the beauty of this great nation. It lets you climb the hill when you want to climb. But you can slide down very fast. However, we should all get together and make sure that we don't let anybody slide down. This is the beauty of the country. Masjid Jibreel is not only the mosque. We also have Crescent Elderly Care, where we take care of the elders. And I'll share with you what I did last week. You will be surprised. I had a call, several calls by an individual and his wife. So I went to visit him. Guess what, who he was? He was a Vietnam veteran and his wife, and they didn't have any place. I brought him from there and I showed him our place. I said, I will take you in. It doesn't matter who you are an American. And doesn't matter who we are helping. And this is what the religion and the state of the United States of America is all about. And he came and he said, this is one of the best places I have seen. And then I was trying to bring him, and I lost contact with him. But what I'm trying to explain to you, we don't, as Muslims or anything, discriminate anybody. We are the land of the people. And this is the wonderful thing about this nation. And I pray to God the Almighty that God the Almighty bring this understanding among us and the love among us and the best that we can do. And these St. Gabriel police people are here. They are wonderful people. They come and share every Ramadan the breaking of the fast with us. So big thanks to them. They are So the door of the mosque of St. Gabriel is open. The door of our Crescent Elderly Care is open. Anybody that's in need, who are ill, and who do not have any support from families, anybody else, we are right there for you. May God bless you, and thank you very much. There is a white Toyota car parked and blocking somebody's gate, and they want to call the police on you.
Neighbor's lot, the Dennis building.
Yeah.
It's parked in the Dennis building.
In the desert?
There's a white Toyota parked in the Dennis building. It's no. Please make sure you remove it. Otherwise, he is going to shut the gate.
And we don't want the police officer to give them a ticket.
And now, is Asma Ahmed here? Okay, very good. So we have the Policy and Advocacy Coordinator of CARE LA, Asma Ahmed.
Good evening and Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum
My name
salam.
is Asma Ahmed. On behalf of the Council on American Islamic Relations of the Greater Los Angeles area, I would like to thank Congresswoman Judy Chu for holding this Muslim and Interfaith Solidarity Event. Congresswoman Chu has never wavered in her support for immigrants, minorities, and Muslims. She has a strong track record of defending civil rights and challenging bigotry and prejudice. I echo the sentiments of the local Muslim community members here tonight when I say that we appreciate your show of support and expression of unity and solidarity. The executive orders that President Trump has issued during his first week in office are a disturbing confirmation of the anti-immigrant and anti-Muslim rhetoric that characterized his presidential campaign. It is encouraging to see principled and courageous leaders such as Congresswoman Chu stand up for the American values of religious and ethnic inclusion that we hold so dear. It is more essential. It is more essential now than ever before to stand shoulder to shoulder with our allies, with our partners, to defend and protect the rights of those who have been marginalized and those who are most vulnerable. Once again, thank you, Congresswoman Chu, for your dedication, for your tireless efforts in promoting justice and equality. We are confident that you will continue to work passionately to support not only the Muslim community, but all American communities. Thank you.
And now we have Nourullah Fitrati, and he is a former Afghan translator to the U.S. military. So thank you, Nourullah, for being here.
Good evening, and thank you for having me here tonight at this event. I would like to share my story with you guys tonight. Although it's not very fun talking about it, but I'm still willing to share my story on how I became a U.S. translator for the U.S. government and what my experience was, and how it's gonna affect me and people like me. This executive order that's gonna take place, how is it gonna affect me and people that are in a situation that I was in when I was living back in Afghanistan. I don't have a lot of time to share the whole story and the whole events that I have experienced, but I would like to make it short and say a couple things here. I was born and raised in Afghanistan in a Muslim family, and I was not taught any hate towards any other religious community or anybody, not any race, not any religion, basically nobody. I never hated anybody. I was 16 when I graduated high school in 2006. In 2007, I started working with the U.S. Army. It was a really tough decision. It was not very easy. The war on terror started in 2001 in Afghanistan, and it continued, and it's still continuing till now. So I heard about it a lot. I have seen people losing their lives. I have seen people actually getting hurt and injured. And it was a tough decision for me. I was young. I was 17 years old. And I made my decision. I went there and I entered the base. I never seen any American before that. I've never communicated with anybody other than Afghan, other than people who speak my language. But I made the decision and I took a step and I entered the base. I was welcome, and it was really hard. It was not easy for me to see all these people, watch them on the TV news, people who got hurt, people who died, and alongside the U.S. forces or the Afghan army that was fighting the terrorists. And the hardest part was when I was signing the contract. In the contract, in one part it says I should list 3 beneficiaries. People who would claim my benefits if I died. That was the hardest moment. I was shaken, and I'm still nervous when I remember that. But since I have trust in the U.S. government and the people of America that supported us in the past, I knew I was supporting a good cause, and I was gonna be helping my family. I took the step and I signed it. I went back home, and it was not easy, and I couldn't sleep that night. But I was called a month later. I went through the screening processes, background checks, and everything. But after all, I started working. It was still not easy when I was working. It was really hard to communicate with people from a different country. They treated me well, although it was a trust issue there. I was not being trusted because I was an Afghan and I was a Muslim, and a lot of the soldiers thought that I might hurt them. I did not have a lot of privileges as they had. But I proved my honesty. I worked with them. I got blown up 3 times. I survived. I got back injuries. I got head injuries. I did not quit. I did not quit. I told myself I started this, and I will go until this is done. I didn't know what was gonna happen. I got blown up 3 times. In 2012, on 2nd March. I got shot while I was working with the U.S. Special Forces 3rd Operation Group in Nangarhar Province. We went there to basically catch bad guys, people that were harming civilians and that were harming U.S. forces and Afghan forces. They were planning IEDs, they were killing innocent people. I got shot during a firefight. I almost lost my life. I thank God that I survived. It was because of the people that I worked with. There were Afghan forces alongside me, but there were 2 American soldiers that I worked with really closely. They dragged me, and I remember exactly. I could not breathe. I could not breathe. One of the soldiers was saying that this guy is getting heavier. I knew what it meant because I've seen my fellow soldier that what it means when they say he's getting heavier. He was basically saying that he's dead, and the other one was saying that hey, no matter if he's dead or alive, or he's heavier or lighter, we gotta drag him. It's our buddy. We gotta drag him. I felt really happy. That was an emotional moment, and I was like, okay. I mean, these guys are trying to help me, and they dragged me. They tore up my uniform and they stopped my bleeding. They put me in a medevac in a helicopter. They took me to the hospital, took care of me, as I expected. I expected. I had a strong trust. I trusted them that I would be taken care of if something happened to me, or my family would be taken care of if something happens to me. And that's what exactly happened. They took care of me. They took me to the hospital. The doctors took care of me. They sent me to India to get treatment. They sent me to Dubai to get treatment. They spent a lot of money to basically make my arm working again. Although it's not working that much, but it's there. You know, I'm thankful to God. So, and later on, and I still continued working. I could not go home. After 3 days of being in a hospital in Bagram Air Base, the doctors told me there that you have to call your family to pick you up. I did not expect something that happened. I saw one of my teammates from the Special Forces unit from 3rd Group show up there, and I had told them before they put me in a helicopter, I told them, do not call my family. My mom has high blood pressure, and I might make it, but she might not. Please do not call my family. And that's what he did. He did not call my family. He showed up at the hospital, and he told the doctor, we are his family, and we are taking him.
Wow.
They took me to the base. I was in base for another year. They helped me recover. They helped me fight my PTSD. They helped me fight my fears. They got me back on my feet. And I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. But in 2013, my unit got pulled out of Afghanistan. And that was it for me. I was confused what I was going to do. I did not know what to do. I did not have any information or anything. I was just basically left behind. But thankfully, I heard about the special immigrant visa. That's the focus is on the Afghan interpreters and people who work for the U.S. government in Afghanistan. I learned about it and I researched. I Googled it. I contacted the embassy. I gathered information as much as I could, and I submitted my paperwork. I got a COM approval, which is an approval that it tells me a go ahead that they accepted my case, and I went through several background checks through several agencies, and they got me cleared up, and I made it to the U.S. I came to America in March 12, 2015, and I was here for 15 days when I started working. I've been working ever since. I could sleep without thinking that somebody's gonna come and kill me or harm me. When I applied for the SIV, I was basically not on a base. I was living in different locations. I moved from one place to another place, and I was basically hiding. People know who I was. People know who I work with. I could have been targeted any minute, and I could have been killed or injured for another time. But I made it out. I'm really thankful, and this is what America means to me: a new life, a new hope. I have a job. I work. I support my family. I'm happy. You know, I'm really happy, to be honest, to be here. But it changed a couple of days ago. It changed. I'm worried again. I've been receiving a lot of messages when I wake up in the morning. I have about 50 messages, 30 messages from my friends that work alongside with me. They're stuck. They're basically stuck. I was stuck 2 years ago. And if somebody would have told me that the U.S. president banned you from coming to America, I would have had a really hard time. I would have had a breakdown, because that was the only hope I had. I was like, I'm gonna make it one day. It's hard right now, but I'm gonna make it maybe a year or 2 years from now. I did not care what I was going through, but I had a hope. When there is a hope, it helps you keep going. That's my experience. And basically, those people that are left behind, I think they don't have any hope, because they're taking serious the executive order that's going to take place. They're taking Trump serious. Nobody took him serious until he became the president. And now people are taking him serious, especially people who are stuck. They're worried, and they are looking for help. They are looking for people to help them. I had trust in America. That's why I joined and I work for them. And I believe is going to change for people that are in Afghanistan and other countries that are willing to risk their life to help the U.S. government fight terrorism. I have a lot to say, but I would like to make it short. I would like to give everybody a chance to speak here. I would also like to talk about the SIV program. Okay. All right. So basically, I don't have enough time. Yeah, I will be willing to share my story and other information if people are willing to ask me. I will be glad to share. And thank you so much.
Wow, Narula, you said plenty. I mean, your story was very, very powerful in terms of why we should be able to welcome refugees and why our vetting process should be able to make sure that we are letting in people who could contribute to this country. So thank you for telling your story. Okay, next we have the Executive Director of the Jewish Federation of the Greater San Gabriel and Pomona Valleys, Jason Moss.
Good evening, everyone.
Greetings.
It is in the role as the voice for the Jewish community that I'm here today to let you know that the Jewish community